The Iron Game Chalk Talk podcast is brought to you by the following sponsors: EliteForm.com, IgnitionAPG.com, PlayUSA at PLAEUSA.com, and Sorinex Exercise Equipment at Sorinex.com. And now, the Iron Game Chalk Talk podcast. Welcome to Iron Game Chalk Talk with your host, Ron McKeefery.
Every time our athletes walk into this weight room, they're going to be pushed to the max.
Let's go! Everything you got!
On this podcast, hear Coach McKeefery straight talk about training, featuring the top strength and conditioning professionals from around the world. And now, here's your host, Ron McKeefery.
Hey guys, welcome back to Iron Game Chalk Talk. I'm your host, Ron McKeefery, and this is episode number 178. Super excited to have a buddy of mine, Allan Johnson, with us. Al and I go way back. He's one of the first guys that I reached out to as a 23-year-old head strength coach, looking and seeking out mentors and guys that I can learn from, guys that had been in the business for quite some time. And I always talk about making sure that you avoid some of the mistakes that other strength coaches have done. And that's one of the reasons why I asked the question on the show, what's one of the biggest mistakes that they've made and how they learn from it, so that as young strength coaches or strength coaches in general, if we can learn from other people's pitfalls, we can avoid some of those mistakes and get to the end destination a little bit quicker. And at the end of the day, it's really not a destination, it's a journey. We all know that. But Al is a fantastic person. He's been at West Virginia, he's been at Ohio State, he's currently the head strength coach at East Tennessee State, and we get into a lot of things here. We talk a little bit about how he's been able to rejuvenate a program. East Tennessee had football, lost it, brought it back, and so kind of balancing what had been done in the past with essentially having a startup program. We talk about the ways that he's gone about developing a staff and how he's and one of the things we talk about too is not worrying about the logo that's on your chest, and just focusing on the job and whether or not you're at Ohio State or East Tennessee State. Ultimately it's the same job, and obviously there's different pressures and different things like that, but when you're staring at 105 faces that you have to lead, create the vision and set the culture and handle the accountability, those things don't change, and it's ultimately kind of why we got into this field, is make an impact on people's lives. And so I know you're going to get a ton out of this episode with Al, tons of one-liners. I wrote about 40 one-liners during this on my notes, and I know you're going to enjoy it. Before we do, though, I want to make sure we talk a little bit about the Play Summits. We have the Play Summits coming up in 2017. We're going to be doing 3 in the United States, and we're going to be doing 3 internationally. And so I'm real excited about that. We're growing the summits internationally. I'll be announcing those things through Play social media, so make sure you're following us at Play_US. Stay up to date with what we have going on, because that's where we're going to be posting a lot of things. But we'll be releasing the locations, the dates, our sponsors, our partners in this, and a lot of things coming up very, very soon. But you want to start making sure that you're making plans to attend at least one of these. They're going to be fantastic events, great networking, great education, and opportunities to get better as a strength coach, continue to sharpen the sword. And so place those on your calendar once they come out, and we'll make sure to see you at one of those events in 2017. Sit back, enjoy this episode, and we'll see you on the other side. Hey guys, real excited to have a good buddy of mine, Allan Johnson, with us today. Al and I go way back, and he probably doesn't even know this, but he was extremely instrumental in my development as a young coach, as a young 23-year-old head strength coach. I think he came down for a bowl game or something. I can't remember what it was, how we first met, but West Virginia and all through his career, we've stayed in touch and spoken at a lot of conferences together, and I've learned from this man for the last almost 15, 16 years, in this business. Yeah, no, right? But he's been a big influence in my career, and he had a chance to be on site in his weight room at East Tennessee State, and Just the great things that he's doing down there. So, Coach, I appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Coach, I kind of talked a little bit about being at West Virginia, but let's go back. Let's figure out what got you into strength and conditioning in the first place, and then how the journey that you've taken to get to here at East Tennessee.
It's funny you ask that because you think, okay, I wanted to be a doctor, but I ended up being a med tech or something. But with strength conditioning, the biggest thing, I'd wanted to be a football coach, and so I applied to 60 different. Coming out of college, had about 3 years. I coached high school, et cetera, for 3 years, and in Southeastern Ohio. So I wanted to be a football coach. So I applied to 60 schools, and I got rejected or no response from 59 of them. So the 60th one, Georgetown College in Kentucky, went there, interviewed for the job, liked it, it was good, just got married like 2 years before, and so I was like, I don't know. I just don't know I don't know if this is the right job. Anyway, they say the head coach got fired the next year, so I would have been with him. And so the only position I applied for strength conditioning was at West Virginia University. I applied for that. Dave Van Honder was head strength coach at the time.
Yeah,
Florida State, Georgia. And so the only one I applied for, I got. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I went back. That's what got me in strength conditioning. I was powerlifting for like 3 years, and I played college football D2. And so that's what really drove me that route. And you wonder how things happen. Because, man, I was hell-bent on being a football coach. And so when I got that, and that window, so many doors were shut, and this door opened. I said, you know what, I'm going to do this. I got my master's. So I went there, and I was a GA for a year and a half. Coach Van Houser left, went to Florida State, and I was the interim strength coach. I was hired in August. They said, we're going to make a decision in December. And I was 26 years old at the time. And I said, I can do this. So I had myself, I had one GA, we had 3 weight rooms with 21 teams. I've been there, done that. Many of you have been there, done that. And so I went there, and I was married, just got married. Had just gotten married and taken this graduate assistant position. So about 2 months in, the AD calls me and says, hey, Al, we want to lift this interim title. We want to hire as a head strength. This is like November, 1st of November, semester's over mid-December. I said, well, all due respect, Mr. Schaus. Fred Schaus was the AD, coached here at West with the Lakers, etc. I said, all due respect, I said, I can't accept it. Wow. And he goes, why? I said, well, our terms was that, hey, December was making his call. And I said, I want to finish the deal. And I said, if we both feel the same way, December, I'll accept it. So he looks at me like, I'd like for you to please submit to a drug test.
Yeah, right.
And basically. And so what it was, and then the job was like $16,500 a year, which obviously that's, early 80s. That's not bad. A decent, not sure. So anyway, long story short, he says, okay. He goes, I just hope the job's still here for you in December. I said, I hope it is too, sir. And so anyway, so I finished out another 5 weeks. And so he brought me in again. He says, I'm going to offer you the job again. I'm only going to offer it one more time. He says, are you interested? I said, absolutely. He goes, I'll tell you what, I've never had anyone ever turn me down, offered him a job, and said, hey, wait another month, keep reevaluating. And he says, you know what, instead of $16,500, I'll give you $25,000.
Wow.
Because I've never had anybody do that. So that
paid off,
and it began my journey in the profession. So I stayed there 7 years. We played national championship in '88 against Notre Dame, etc. Ended up getting beat national championship game. But after the national championship game, a few months before that, the Baltimore Orioles came knocking, and I thought it was a joke. I thought, wait, come on, strength coach says, what's a strength coach going to do in baseball?
Right.
And so this was fall of 1988. And so after the national championship game, they flew me into Baltimore. I was looking for Baltimore. I was looking for a T-shirt and a hat. I was like, I'm a big Orioles fan. So this is pretty cool. I don't care about the job. So I go there. So long story short, I end up taking the job, coming back and shocking the people of West Virginia. So I stay. So I go to baseball for 4 years. I was fortunate. I was the third baseball strength coach person, the third strength coach in all baseball. Warren Sipp was with the Pirates. Yeah. Timmy Wilson, was with the White Sox. And so went there, and I mean, what a crazy nomadic lifestyle. I had 6 minor league teams plus a major league team. And so I'm constantly traveling. I'm traveling all the country. There's zigzags from Rochester, New York, back to Oakland, back to Maryland, all these different places. So I did that for 4 years. And so my old job came open. I said, man, I need some normalcy. I mean, I'd rather grind 12, 13 hours a day, be in one spot, work with 21 teams, have 3 weight rooms, all these things. And so I went back there for 6 years. And in 6 years, our head coach, football coach, Don Daly, was retiring. I wanted to stay there. I thought I'd like to stay there and finish out my career for several years at West Virginia. I got the opportunity to go to High State. So I went to High State with Jim Trussell. What an unbelievable experience. It was, went there, I was with Coach Trussell for 5 years. Part of the National Championship team, coaching staff. Great athletes, elite athletes. People say, what's the difference, Coach, between going from Western University where you had a lot of success, your teams, going to a High State? I said, well, let me sum it up in just a couple of sentences. One, at West Virginia in 13 years, I had one guy jump over 40 inches in the vertical jump. I go to Ohio State, first day I test him, I got 4 guys. The first day, jumping over 40. So I'm like, oh, wow, bigger fishbowl, bigger, better elite athletes. So I'm there for 5 years. And then I get out of the profession for 4 years, Velocity Sports Performance, high school athletic director, and then the opportunity to get back in the jungle. I missed it. I didn't do well. Yeah. My wife told me, you're not going to make it out of here. I said, probably not. I said, the things I'm not seeing people that can communicate, they can't organize, they can't motivate.
Right, sure.
I said, this is driving me crazy. I said, the thing I don't feel is, I didn't feel like people, I was in the Velocity Sports Performance, which was good. High school athletic director was good. But I didn't think people were on the same team. Right. We're in the same company, we're on the same team. Sure. And so I tell people, I was institutionalized. I use that term. I was institutionalized for 23 years. And we all knew, we're the same college. We're all the same mission. We're all the same goals. We're all working for the same purpose. And I get out in the private sector and I'm thinking, man, they're all wearing the same colors, but I'm not on the same team. And I just really, for me, it was tough. It was really tough. And so the opportunity presented itself to get back in. And so job came up at Northwestern University. Jay, who was a former GA for me at High State, who worked for me like 7 years before. He gets elevated to the head job and says, Coach, you're probably not interested, but Coach Pat Fitzgerald said, hey, Jay, if you bring one guy in, who is it? He said, me. He said, Coach, you're not going to be the head guy. You're not going to get paid like a head guy. I said, I don't care. Just send me a bus ticket. I'm there. And so Coach Fitzgerald, he interviews me like, wait a minute, you're 20 years older than Jay. Why in the crap do you want to do with this job? I said, Coach, I want to get back in the jungle. I want to help make Jay better. I want to help make your program better. I want to help you win. And my second year there, we were fortunate. We won 10 games for only the second time in 63 seasons with Northwestern and beat Mississippi State in a bowl game. And so that was 2.5 years. Coach Lee Morrow here at East Tennessee State, who was the head strength coach, had just resigned, was in athletic facilities, and said, hey, Coach, there's a job open here. Are you interested? I said, absolutely. He said, Coach, he goes, we're not paying you like the Big Ten. He goes, you don't have facilities like Big Ten. He goes, you want athletes like Big Ten. I said, fine, even more. And the thing with this, which has been great, this evolution, I probably had more fun. This has been a much more worthwhile experience than anything I've ever had. I wouldn't trade the experience I have here. Do I have everything I need? Yes. Do I have everything I want? No. But the thing I can tell you, I probably have what I do and being able to have an impact. I think it's greater here than any place I've ever been. Sure. I wouldn't trade this experience for winning an NCAA championship in High State. I wouldn't trade this experience for West Virginia or the Baltimore Orioles. What I've been able to do and what we've been able to do in trying to create a culture here. We're raising a child from birth. Right. And now that child's only 2.5 years old right now. Yep. So we started in the fall 14. We had 86 kids. And we didn't practice against ourselves. We didn't have teams play against them. We looked at each other. We were sick of each other. We were tired of each other. We just kept them going. Right. And in fact, the weight room you're in now, this weight room was here. We had no weight plates. So all the weight equipment came in. We had all the weight equipment. We had no weight plates. It was 8 weeks backward. So we had 3 tons of steel plates, 6 bars, and 10 pieces of hammer equipment that we would load and unload each day. Our kids would carry 2.5 to 3 tons of weight plates every day. That's right. And we practiced 4 days a week. And so they were doing like 2 days. We weren't playing against anybody. And so, that fall, this that fall we got weight plates. We brought them in. We started training the room. But we stuck these weight plates in a corner over here for about 8 months as a reminder that, hey, as quick as it comes and all these balls, whistles, and all this nice equipment, it can go away, because if your effort doesn't dictate excellence, boom, we can carry those weight plates right back out and go at it again. So fortunately, kids, we never had to resort to that, but the kids have been awesome. They worked hard. It was unbelievable. But the kids have just been outstanding. They've been outstanding, and we're going in the right direction. We've worked developing, creating, and it's actually made me a better strength coach, I believe, because I have to be patient, I have to be more creative. I've had to become more of a mentor, maybe more of a psychologist as a coach than I've ever been in my whole career. So it's been a great journey. I wouldn't trade it. I mean, this is one of the most beautiful places in the world, I think. I was from West Virginia, Mountain State, and here I'm in Tennessee. I mean, this is definitely where I'm at in East Tennessee. It's the mountains.
Sure. No, there's tons to dig into there, Coach. One of the things I want to focus on first is through that process, I mean, being that young coach, and maybe now you may not have that same piece of advice for that young coach to turn down the job, then come back. You've made some mistakes along the way. What's maybe been one of the biggest mistakes you've made, and kind of how you learned from it?
Jeez, I don't know if you got enough tape here, Ron. You know what? I tell you what. You know what? I think I enjoyed my experience with Baltimore. I really enjoyed it. But you know what? And looking back, I should have stayed at West Virginia. A great situation. I loved it. I mean, but it was just, I bit off more than I could chew. I had 6 minor league teams plus a major league team. Back then we didn't have an intern or strength coach in every city. I'm flying in, and I'm zigzagging all over the country. I mean, I was going from January to almost November.
Sure.
And it was a zigzag. In that respect, I love baseball. I love the camaraderie. I love the enthusiasm. I love the enthusiasm of the baseball athlete. But it was just so much. And I think during that time, I look back and I think, I guess Sonny's 28 now. I mean, I was in baseball 4 years, and I think I missed 4 years of his life.
Yeah, sure.
Because that's one of the biggest regrets I'd say as a coach that I've had. Is that sure, it's great, it's illustrious, and you're flying in and out of here, and you're on LA, and you're on Universal Studios, and you're watching movies being made, and you're meeting, from time to time. And here's Kevin Costner, here's Tom Sully taking BP with you, and all those things are great. But at the end of the day, you still want to go home, and your family, and your children, whatever, and spend more time with them. That's probably the biggest regret, because I think the one word, and I think I found it right today, and I realized is balance.
Yeah.
I think that we as coaches, I think, and actually any occupation, especially coaches, young coaches don't understand, because they're like, man, they're burning the candle both ends, and they're just going. But I think balance is a key. I think balance in your life, and I think balance with your priorities. Okay, it's family first. It's not the job first. And early in my career, I was a workaholic, and I think that finding balance has been a blessing.
I couldn't agree with you more on that, with balance and just making the big time where you're at. Sometimes you don't realize, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. In this field, having longevity at a place and being able to really pull yourself into and have pride in a place it's rare. Because instead of being hired assassins, you want to go in and you really want to set some roots and feel like you're battling with people, like we were talking about either earlier on campus. You came into a situation here, they had football for several years. They dropped it in 2003, picked it back up in 2013, 14. And it's almost, it's basically had to start from scratch again. How did you come into a situation where you had to practice for a year? You had probably 80-something freshmen, or underclassmen in the program. How did you come in, set a culture, develop leadership, and kind of just set your standards of expectations with a group that really didn't know what they were getting themselves into? Teaspoons.
Every place you've been, we use shovels. Here I found that I was feeding babies. I was feeding children. I wasn't working with men. I wasn't working with 18 and 22-year-olds. I was working with 17, 18-year-olds when I got here. And so teaspoons. I started feeding them daily with teaspoons in terms of knowledge and expectations and creating a culture and that attitude controls effort. Your attitude controls your effort, and taking it methodically and slowly in terms of each day. And the biggest thing I think with here, the greatest thing I've learned, the lesson I've learned is patience. Because I've had to be patient, because I don't have everything I want. I have everything I need, and it's maybe a better strength coach because I've had to improvise and be creative and look around and say, okay, I don't have 6 prowlers. I've only got 3.
Right.
So how are you going to make this work with 110 guys? And we've all faced a situation where we don't have those things, but with that, and then we started. I didn't have juniors and seniors, and I had, they were looking more at at me and our other coaches as mentors. Like, what do we do? And the one question I got going into last season, first season, last year, 2015, the question that stopped me dead in my tracks as a coach. I never got this question before. But young, they're all young, but I had a serious coach who goes, we're getting ready to play our first game last year against Kennesaw State. This kid comes up to me, his coach, he goes, Coach, how are we going to do this year? Are we going to win any games, Coach? And I'm like, wow. Talking about something dead in my tracks. I said, yes, we're going to win games. I said, we're going to get as our work students desire. I said, so, I said, our hard work, our attitude, our effort, and our persistence. I said, we're going to win games. I don't know how many.
Sure.
I said, it's going to be a lesson. This season is going to be a lesson that's going to help us in the 2016 season. I said, but we're going to develop, we're going to create. And guess what? We're all in this together. And so that was the thing with these guys was it's a security thing. Putting a blanket around them and saying, what, we're going to be okay. Our success this season, 2015 season last year, is not dictated, mandated by the scoreboard.
Right.
It's about taking spoons, and then we go to a tablespoon. Then we go to a bucket. Then we go to a shovel. I said all those things are just it's a process. But the thing you got to realize is we're all in it together. When we're successful, we're all successful together. And we did it together.
Right. And
that's the thing I told him. I was like, hey, when we stub our toe, we're not successful. We need to work harder. We need to do more. And so I think that assurance of that has helped us. But also, like when you mentioned about leadership, that's been the hardest nut to crack because they're all 18-year-olds now. They're 19 now. They're 20, and now we've got some. We're starting to get some juniors, redshirt sophomores, and peer grouping them, and putting them in groups, and then the accountability. Like let's say 3 to 4 guys to a rack, and having a rack leader, and then having a group. Like the leader's responsible for the 3 guys. The 3 guys are responsible for the leader. Evaluating each other. Hey, what can we do better? What do you think about? What can we do to make it better? And the biggest thing is as we all would do is even at a young age. I'm slowly first year. I didn't give much ownership because you're young and you're dumb. And everything you learn about strength and conditioning at this point, to lead it from the heart.
Right.
Because we're doing it my way. I'm about picking people that work for you, young GAs, coaches, whatever. One time about 20 years ago, West Virginia, ran a railroad spike up to the bottom of my foot. There's 100 tie put in, filled up a railroad tie wall behind the bank behind my garage. And I had to have emergency surgery the next day. I'm going to crutch it in. I'm going to work.
Right.
And my wife said, wait a minute, TV time. You ain't going to work, dude. You're not going to work for about 5 days. You ain't working. I was like, no. Hey, I'm going. She goes, no, you're not. She goes, we're going to find out what kind of leader you are. We're going to find out if you hire the right people. We're going to find out, if you've done what you should be doing and teaching and mentoring, we'll find a thing to carry the torch. I was like, oh, good point. I got 3 GAs here. They do a tremendous job. They work hard. They give them a lot of responsibility. With that, it keeps me current. It keeps me current on so much stuff in terms of not so much professional as it does social. And so it keeps me current, and it's good, and it helps me. I don't have to research. What's going on, social media, whatever. I mean, I got 3 guys that keep me up to it every day.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
I'd rather spend time on reading or watching your podcast or reading things, being training and people and leadership and motivation than more than social media. So those guys keep me current, and that's been a real blessing.
Well, I always talk about it. That's what I wrote about in my book. Was that you go through 3 evolutions, and 3 things make you successful as a strength coach: being a great technician, a great manager, and a great entrepreneur. And that's what GAs are. They're great technicians. They're learning the skill. They're researching like crazy. They're constantly bringing information in. Well, then a skilled manager or an entrepreneur can take that information and practically apply it in the best sense of the way. And so I couldn't agree with you more. I always say that I want to hire head strength coaches. I don't want assistants. I don't want career assistants.
Right.
So I expect them to move on.
Right.
And be able to feed from that. part of taking this job, you and I both, we've been at the highest levels, and we've been at what people would generally not classify as their dream jobs. But in a lot of ways, like you said, you wouldn't trade this experience for anything.
Not at all.
You've had to get over, at some point in your career, you had to get over the logo on your chest. And I think that's an important thing with coaches, is getting over what logo's on your chest and just doing a great job where you're at. What advice would you give to a young coach that their sights are only on the NFL or Major League Baseball or major college sports? What advice would you give that young coach?
They're not going to make it. You're not going to make it, because if you fall short of that goal, and I'm not saying don't have goals, but if you fall short, that's your only goal. If you don't make it, there's trials and tribulations along the way. How are you going to handle adversity? How are you going to handle that you're going to go to Wichita State at Dayton?
Right.
How are you going to handle that? What you got to do is like you brought a great point. The logo on the chest is just a letter. What it means is symbolic of where you're at then. But you got to make the best of where you're at. Too many people sit on a bitch, whine, complain about, man, I'm here, I should be there, this guy got this job, whatever. I tell you what, go out and take it and seize the moment. Go get it. If that's important to you, go get it. But you know what I'm seeing, hey, I'm on the back. I'm not on the back 9 here. People say, man, you're on the back 9. Hell with that. I'm not on the back 9. I'm on the back 12, okay? Anyway, I'm playing. But I'm just saying, you know what, pay your dues. If you want to shoot the moon, you want to go to the NFL, or you want to go to Notre Dame, or wherever you want to go, that's fine. But you know what? Take the steps, the initial steps to get there. Don't joke. You can't go from A to Z. B through, X has got to be there somewhere. I'm saying you got to go through that, but I'm just saying pay your dues. Pay your dues and merit the opportunity to be there. And with that becomes, in my book, and I think you'd agree too, is building relationships. Number 2 is have a passion for what you do. Number 3, I'm not hiring anybody that looks at the clock. If they come in and they're looking at the clock, they're not there, so they're going to have short shelf life. And then the 4th thing is loyalty. Man, if they ain't loyal, I'm going to tell you what, if there's a chink in your armor and you work for me, and I even smell disloyalty, boom, you're done. You're going. Because that's the one thing, is that, loyalty sometimes, I hope it's a two-way street. As things evolve and as we go on in today's society, a lot of times loyalty is only one way.
Right.
And you look at an employer, you know what I'm saying, man, hey, we're all in it together, whatever. And then push comes to shove, like new head coach comes in, like you've been there 6 years, 5 years, 9 years, 10 years, whatever, and I'd say, oh, we're sorry, Johnny, but you can't stay here. New head coach coming in, he's praying a guy who used to throw rocks through a window in East LA. He's going to be a strength coach. You have more knowledge. He's only 3 years in the business, but that's the way it is. So loyalty, goes very deep.
I think it's so important. The loyalty piece. It's so it's easy. And you mentioned this throughout. It's easy to do the job when you're at an Ohio State, at a Tennessee, or at a It's not. It has its own challenges. Don't get us wrong. But you really find out what you're made of, what you're metal when you're in a situation where you're working 17 sports and you're the only coach, or you're being told that you don't have the money for equipment or whatever. That's when you find out, and it's really when you define whether or not you truly have a passion for the job or not. Because this profession is it's a roller coaster ride of ups and downs and twists and turns, and you're right. If you have one foot out at any point, then you're done. You won't make it. I couldn't agree with you more on that. Well, Coach, we end the show with some resources. Give us the best piece of coaching advice you ever received.
Wow. Be yourself. Be honest. Don't be a BSer. If you don't know the answer, kid asks you a question, don't BS it. Say, I don't know. I'm going to find out. And I think that you treat kids the way you want yourself treated, what you want treated, or your own kids. And at the end of the day, it's not about strength and conditioning. At the end of the day, when you walk out of that weight room, it's not about the room. It's not about the sport. It's about being a person. And talk to the kids. Talk to your kids about things other than sports and athletics. And Tim Truss was one of the best I've ever been around with that. Because we'd evolve and we'd talk to kids, we'd talk to players about your grandma, or for me, I want to know. I get a detailed reports when we do this once or twice a year at East Tennessee State. I want detailed backgrounds on these kids. There may be a coach who recruited him, and I don't want to find out 2 years later that he was an orphan.
Right,
or
sure.
his mother's in is in prison for life. I might want to know that up front, because my approach, I'm not saying from an accountability perspective, but I want to know that stuff up front. That way it helps me in terms of motivating, communicating, and developing a relationship.
Right. When you have those conversations or you admit that you don't have the answer, you humble yourself, you humanize yourself. You humanize yourself with the athletes, and ultimately that's what they want to know.
Yeah.
They want to know that you're in it with them, as
Right.
opposed to you're just some voice at the top of on a podium saying,
Right.
do this.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't agree with you more. What about a book, app, and website recommendation?
I tell you what, I'm really into right now. I'm really into John Gordon.
Yeah.
I really like the You Win in the Locker Room.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You know, everything I can pick up, and I think from a mental perspective, because if you think about it, you know, as coaches, you know, we're really used car salesmen.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to do, we're trying to get them to buy a vehicle and build enough trust. We're not going to let them go out and test drive it. Build enough trust. Or you're going to tell them it's got 4 doors, it's got engines, it's got windows, and all they're going to do, they're going to give you $600, whatever it is, and trust you enough to go out and take the keys and turn the ignition.
Right.
So if you can build that relationship with your kids, and that's why I'm more into the mental aspect of psyche of training and things and motivation with the kids, because at the end of the day, we're all doing X and O's. We're doing them the same way, or we're doing them differently, or we're, you know, I got X, Y, Z, and you got C, D, E.
Sure.
And those things are, a lot of things are compatible. You know, as far as an app, you know, for me, as far as me, an app personally, countdowns.
Yeah.
I do countdown. I set goals. I have a countdown. I have, you know, goals or things that they're approaching, and it gives me a countdown. Which is a countdown to kickoff, or it's a countdown to a task, or it's a countdown to a goal I have. And so I constantly change. I've got 6 or 8 different countdowns on my countdown app that alert me, hey, I've got 2 days, 17 hours, and 22 minutes to achieve, or before that event happens. So that keeps me going mentally.
Yeah, that's good.
And then, you know, website, gosh darn, you didn't even ask me that question. There's so many out there. You know, I really like your website. I like what you've done in terms of the podcast and the Chalk Talks, because I think it's invaluable for young strength coaches, but not just young strength coaches. I mean, I tell you what, I love recycling. You know, you recycle things and you hear things and you know about it, but then, you know, we all go along with the plan, and then for whatever reason, 2 years later, you know, we've deviated a little bit, we tweaked it, whatever. But then there's things about like, why did I ever change? There's not one website, but you know, those are the things that, you know, keep me going. You know, as a strength coach, I mean, you know, I think one of the greatest inventions is Twitter. Yeah. And I think you can find out so much information with Twitter and see things that are out there. Well, I tell you one of the best. I will tell you one of the best Twitter pages that I find I really like is post recovery, and a lot of brilliant ideas, innovative ideas on recovery for athletes. Some exercise.
Yeah. I can check that one out. Well, Coach, I mean, you guys can probably hear from the background. We're in the weight room, got basketball training. What Coach is building down here is something special. He's doing a great job, fantastic facility. You know, he's training the staff up the right way, and just it's something that he's done everywhere he's ever been, poured his heart and soul into places, and one of the things that I respect the most about him. So I really appreciate you coming on the show, Coach.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Can I say one last thing?
Yeah,
one last thing. We mentioned jobs. You know what? I've never, anywhere I've ever been, I've never felt I had a job. It's always been a passion. And for me, that's what's kept me driven. I mean, people say, man, I got this job, this, whatever. I don't worry about that. It's the passion. You brought that up earlier. It's the passion that stayed driven. And we all know when that, you know, we know whatever place we're in when that thing flames out.
Sure.
The flame goes out. But I can tell you, I've never ever felt like, man, this is it. Now I'm tired of this. I don't want to do this. I don't know how much longer I'm going to coach. I mean, I'm going to go. I'm probably going to die on the job because I love the interaction with coaching and athletes and, you know, just the atmosphere. It's never been a job. It's been a passion.
Nice. Wise words right there. Appreciate you, Coach.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's it for this episode of Iron Game Chalk Talk. Thanks to this week's guest as well as our sponsors for bringing this episode to you for free. Make sure to check out ronmckeefery.com, where you can join our mailing list, find the show notes, including all the links and resources mentioned, and information about Coach McKeefery's other products. While you are there, please join Coach McKeefery in the comments section thanking our guest for sharing.
If you haven't subscribed to Iron Game Chalk Talk on YouTube or iTunes yet, make sure to do so. Comments, ratings, and reviews are always welcome. Coach McKeefery can be found on Twitter at @RMcKeefery, on Facebook and YouTube at /Ron.McKeefery. That's it for this week. Be sure to check back next week for another great episode of Iron Game Chalk Talk.